Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Spurlock. I'm the senior software engineer working on the Roku ads framework, and I'll be giving the presentation today. Just a quick overview of the agenda. We're going to go over an introduction of the Roku ads framework for some of you who are maybe new or unfamiliar. Then we'll follow up with a deeper dive into the ad watermarking feature and what it is. And finally, tips and resources for channel developers. After that, we also will have a Q&A session, so please follow the QR code or the link on the bottom of this slide and submit your questions. And after the presentation, we'll try and get through as many of those as we can. So what is the Roku Ads Framework? The Roku Ads Framework is a Bright script library that gives your channel ad functionality and features. Some of the key features that we support through the ads framework are standards-based ad requests and response parsing. So that includes VAST and VMAP, as well as preferred ad servers like Freewheel and Google Ad Manager. We also support video ad rendering, including interactive ads via Brightline and Innovid. So that means RAF can take care of all the video ad playback, managing the UI, trick play controls, all of that taken care of for you. We also support audience measurement and various ad insertion use cases, from basic client-side ad insertion to client-side ad stitching and server-side ad insertion. Some of the key goals that we intend to provide through RAF are superior tools for monetizing the publisher inventory. So this includes things like being able to automatically adhere and support industry standards by integrating with RAF through things like privacy-friendly targeting and frequency capping. For developers, we aim to reduce integration and development and testing effort. And for the user, we want to improve the ad experience across the Roku platform. So that means when a user is on a channel on the Roku platform, they can have the same expectation and same experience when they're interacting with ads. And here's a simple integration example to show you how easy it is to integrate RAF into your channel. So you can see the first line here, we just declare dependency in the manifest file for the Roku ads library. And then with a few lines of source code, you can have RAF integration and ad playback. So you can see we instantiate the Roku ads framework, give it an ad server URL, tell it to fetch some ads, and then when we want to render the ad, we simply call show ads. So this is a very basic example using a client-side ad insertion example. So in this use case, when you wanted to display an ad in your channel, that's when you would fetch the ad and render the ad. We also support, as I mentioned, other use cases with a little bit more complex integration if you wanted things like seamless playback through client-side stitching or server-side ad insertion. The ad watermarking feature is something that we've had in RAF, and it's a way for the Roku ads framework to provide device attestation to ad measurement partners as a means for preventing ad fraud. So what the Roku ads framework will do is add a cryptographically signed token to the HTTP headers of ad requests and beacons that originate from a Roku device. And we partner with top ad measurement vendors who then do server-side validation of all these pre-bid and post-bid HTTP requests. So this ensures that the measurements that they're counting are actually originating from a Roku device. And the good news for developers is that the Roku ads framework handles all this automatically. So if you're using the Roku ads framework for client-side beaconing, you're going to get the watermarks generated and applied automatically with no extra effort on your part. And we also actually make the client-side beaconing part of the channel certification process so that we can ensure when people are using RAF, they're taking advantage of that watermark feature and the whole ad ecosystem benefits from its adoption. Finally, some tips and resources for channel developers. So in the most recent release of RAF, we removed the default backfill ad server URL from the client. This had been a part of the client, but was pointing to a URL that had not been serving ads for some time. So this won't affect anything like fill rate or ad rendering, but calling it out here in case you are looking at debug logs or other console logging and you see differences compared to previous versions. It's because we are no longer using that backfill ad server on the client. Also wanted to call out that we support enabling and disabling debug logging through USB thumb drive on Roku devices that have USB ports. So the Roku Ads Framework provides an API for turning debugging on and off, but it can be cumbersome to have to make a code change to and build and deploy just to enable or disable debug logging. So if your device has a USB port, you can connect a USB drive with a specially named file here, force debug output equal on, in the top level of that drive. And if that file is present, debug logging in RAF will be turned on automatically. And that happens at runtime. So you can adjust that at any time before you instantiate the Roku Ads framework. Also wanted to call out, we have some sample channels as starting points for development on GitHub. So we have example channels there that you can build and deploy for the various use cases. Client-side ad insertion, as I mentioned. We have a client-side ad stitching example that demonstrates the benefits of client-side ad stitching and seamless playback. And we have multiple samples for integrating with the various server-side ad insertion platforms. We have an email address that you can always send email to for raising issues or questions. And finally, we have a Roku developer Slack channel that has a large community of developers where you can also raise issues and questions there as well. So that's the end of the presentation. Again, there's a QR code and a link here for you to submit any questions, and we will answer them shortly. Thank you.